Put very simply, there are a lot of data now pointing to the fact that eating during the nocturnal phase of the 24-hour cycle is very detrimental to one's health. In fact, when we eat can either enhance our health or can diminish our health. When we see light, can enhance our feelings of well-being or can diminish our feelings of well-being. I've talked many times before about this on the Huberman Lab podcast, that during the daytime you want to get as much sunlight and other types of bright light in your eyes as is safely possible, and then you want to avoid light in the middle of the night. It has detrimental dopamine-lowering effects, can cause depression, cortisol increases, etc. So when you view light is as important as the light that you view, and when you eat is as important as what you eat. In this study, they saw something really interesting, which was that not only did restricting food to a particular phase of the 24-hour cycle benefit things like lean body mass and fat loss and a number of health parameters that I'll talk about in a moment, but it also anchored all the gene systems of the body and provided a more regular, stable, so-called circadian rhythm or 24-hour rhythm. You may be surprised to learn that 80% of the genes in your body and brain are on a 24-hour schedule. That is, they change their levels going from high to low and back to high again across the 24-hour cycle. And when those genes are high at the appropriate times and low at the appropriate times, meaning their expression is high and low at the appropriate times, and therefore the proper RNAs and proteins are made because DNA encodes for RNA. RNA is translated into proteins. When that happens, your health benefits. When those genes are not expressed at the right times, when they're high or low at the wrong times of each 24-hour cycle, that's when you get negative health effects. This study showed that when mice restrict their eating to an 8-hour period within the most active phase of their 24-hour cycle, many of the genes that are associated with these so-called circadian clocks, these genes have names like PER, BMAL, CRY1, etc., those so-called clock genes underwent a very regular entrainment, a locking in to the proper 24-hour schedule. And while this was in mice, we now know that this also occurs in humans. I've said before on this podcast, and I'll say it again, that light and when we view light is the primary way in which these genes and the clock systems of our body get organized or entrained, meaning matched to the outside light-dark cycle.